We're back with Ian Lee, Associate Professor at Carleton University. There's been a lot of discussion lately about Canada diversifying its trade away from the US. And I'm old enough to remember many discussions like this that have happened many times in the past. I think Pierre Trudeau called it the third option, as I recall, back in the 70s. But
That's
we
exactly
always
right.
end up relying on the US pretty much as we ever have. And although Trump has been rattling the sabers against Canada and others, this has happened before. And let's face it, Trump will only be there for a few years. Then a more friendly administration could well be elected. What do you think Canada should do? And should it diversify its trading relationships when we've had such a long-term successful partnership with the US?
Thank you. Thank you. Believe me. First off, I strongly support trade diversification. Secondly, I am not anti-American. I go there. I've crossed that border I don't know how many times. I've done 2 sabbaticals. My only sister's an American citizen. I just got back from the States 2 days ago. I take holidays in the States. I have a timeshare in the States and so forth. About almost $1 trillion goes both ways across that border. So for those Canadians who think that we can somehow just take that $1 trillion and put it, I don't know, on a boat or an airplane and send it over to Europe or Asia, is completely uninformed about how trade works. First off, it isn't organized out of the Prime Minister's office like the Wizard of Oz at a giant machine that's saying, you know, Company A, you do 10 million with France and you do 10 million with Germany. It doesn't work like that. Trade is micro, not macro. It's individual firms and their individual supply chains out of mutual self-interest dealing with a company across the border. That's not going to ever go away because of our 250-year history and our 8,800-kilometer border. So it may sound like I'm contradicting myself when I say I support trade diversification. I don't. I don't believe that we should shut down any of that trade that we have with the United States. What we have to do is expand trade and seek new markets. And very quickly, Catherine, before I run out of time, I really want to get this out there. A lot of Canadians now say, yes, trade diversification, rah, 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 yes, we're just going to trade. And they talk at 100,000 feet up in the sky. And then you press somebody and say, well, you know, we'll export our whatever we got, our manufactured goods. Europe and Asia don't want our F-150 trucks. I've been to Europe many times. I've been teaching in China since 1997. They do not drive 2-ton SUVs. They do not drive Lincoln Navigators. The German chancellor said, we don't want your trucks or your cars. We want your LNG. The same with South Korea. So what I'm saying is, we have an enormous comparative advantage in resources. And I don't just mean oil or gas, fish, nuclear, molybdenum, critical minerals, timber, agricultural products. We've had that from before Canada was created. And forgive me for saying this, but I have to say it. For the last 50, 60, 70 years, we've gone down this rabbit hole in Canada, especially in Southern Ontario, that we're going to become a manufacturing superpower. And I've argued I did a paper on the auto pack. It was assigned to save and bail out the auto sector. We have been in long-term decline in auto manufacturing. Even today, if you look at the numbers compared to 10 years ago, we went from 5th to 17th in the world in terms of auto production. So we keep throwing billions and billions to subsidize us to become a superpower we're never going to become, because the Americans make it very clear they're not going to let us take significant market share from them, whether it's autos or Bombardier airplanes. Boeing wouldn't allow it. And Asia protects its market in manufacturing. So does Europe, and now so does the U.S. So we've been chasing this chimera, going after manufacturing, when underneath our nose and our eyes, we have 8,800 kilometers of trees and forest and agriculture and molybdenum and nuclear. And the government for the last 9 years was trying to very deliberately sabotage and restrict the development of resources. So to all those people who think that we must diversify, and most Canadians do, there's only one alternative if we do, and that means we have to open up our natural resources to export them to Europe and to Asia. And I don't just mean LNG, but I certainly strongly believe in LNG, but we've got to export all of our resources and to China and Japan and South Korea and Europe. And we've got to give up. The Australians beat us to it, but maybe they're smarter than we are. They exited auto manufacturing in the late 1990s, and people said, doom, bloom, they're going to collapse. Australia today has a higher GDP per capita than Canada.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting
resources.
example. Well, I'm sorry, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for your insights, Ian. You've given us a lot of food for thought. I'm Catherine Swift, President of the Coalition of Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses of Canada. Thank you for watching Canadian Innovators. If you're an innovator and would like to tell us your story, write to us at ideas@thenewsforum.ca. We'll see you next time.